Welcome to the Lightning Rod channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos. This is a story about greed, deception, and the lengths some people will go to in order to make a quick buck, how one man created a fake persona of a billionaire and used it to dupe people out of millions of dollars, how a modern-day Wolf of Wall Street lived the life of a high roller only to have the law eventually catch up to him. Today, we're going over Justin Costello, the fake billionaire who fueled pump and dump schemes to make tens of millions of dollars only to watch it all come crashing down while the SEC caught up. Who is Justin Costello and what was his illegal act? A fugitive who reportedly defrauded investors out of $35 million was arrested in Mexico possessing gold bars and $60,000. A 42-year-old man named Justin Costello was arrested on October 4th in El Cajon, California, just an hour from the Mexican border. He's accused of deceiving investors into thinking he was a billionaire, a Harvard graduate, and an Iraq War veteran. CNBC says that the FBI SWAT squad caught Costello with 6 gold bars worth $12,000, $10,000 in Mexican pesos, and a number of banking cards and checkbooks, despite his commitment through a lawyer to surrender himself to police. The SEC has filed charges against Justin Costello and David Ferraro for securities fraud and falsely representing themselves as billionaire veterans. Justin Costello, an executive in the cannabis industry, and David Ferraro, a friend of Costello's, have been charged with securities fraud by the SEC for allegedly promoting the stock of several microcap companies on social media while simultaneously selling their own shares of those companies at a profit. In order to fund $900,000 for cannabis-related projects, Justin Costello pretended to be a billionaire. Allegedly, Justin Costello presented himself to the public as a registered investment expert with years of experience on Wall Street and a Harvard Business School degree who was establishing a cannabis industry empire. He also claimed to have managed a $1.15 billion hedge fund. Through the adoption of his false identity, he was able to convince more than 30 investors to invest a total of about $900,000 in 2 separate businesses. Both Costello and Ferraro were involved in a penny stock scam. As a financial consultant to a married couple, he issued them $1.8 million worth of shares in a penny company for a markup that was 9,000% more than the price that Costello had bought for these shares. Additionally, he utilized their $4 million brokerage account to trade securities of microcap businesses in which Costello had an unreported financial interest, resulting in a large loss. To make a quick buck, Costello and Ferraro promoted a variety of penny stocks on social media. According to the allegations made in the lawsuit, Ferraro posted hundreds of tweets to promote such stocks without disclosing either that Costello planned to sell his shares once the stock price climbed, or that Ferraro would earn a portion of Costello's gains from the sale of his shares. Costello and Ferraro allegedly gained over $792,000 in illegal trading gains through these methods. A co-defendant in an SEC civil fraud complaint against fake billionaire Justin Costello agrees to settle case. In court documents published on Friday, the Securities and Exchange Commission said that it had reached a settlement with a man accused of participating in 5 distinct penny stock pump and dump operations. David Ferraro is accused of helping federal fugitive Justin Costello with stock scams by utilizing his popular Twitter account. According to the SEC, the two made approximately $800,000 in illegal earnings from their schemes. Even though both the SEC action and the criminal case against Costello were filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington a few weeks ago, Ferraro, a 44-year-old native of Radford, Virginia, was not charged in either. Nonetheless, as a reference to an unnamed co-conspirator of Costello's who is accused of the same actions as those detailed in the SEC complaint. Without admitting or rejecting the SEC's charges, Ferraro agreed to settle their complaint. The lawsuit against Costello will not be resolved unless a court approves the SEC's proposed deal to do so. As a result of the agreement, Ferraro will be permanently barred from taking part in the sale of penny stocks. In addition, the ruling said that a court would decide whether or not it's appropriate for Ferraro, who is accused of breaching both the Securities Act and Exchange Act, of disgorging any ill-gotten earnings from his schemes, in addition to any civil penalty that may be applicable. An SEC spokesman told CNBC, "We have no comment beyond public filings." Because the request for judgment had not yet been approved by a judge, Jeffrey Cox, Ferraro's attorney in Boca Raton, Florida, chose not to comment on it. Cox also declined to comment on whether or not Ferraro had assisted federal prosecutors in their investigation into Costello, who has entered a not-guilty plea to the charges against him. When reached for comment, Costello's civil counsel didn't immediately respond. At the beginning of this month, an FBI SWAT team located and arrested Costello in a rural region outside of San Diego on charges of securities and wire fraud. In the meanwhile, he'll be transferred to Washington State and jailed without bond until trial. According to the complaint filed with the SEC, Costello met Ferraro in the middle of 2019 when Ferraro was an investor in Costello's firm, the publicly traded GRN Holding Corporation, and had been talking about the company on several investor message boards. Ferraro had over 10,000 people following him on Twitter, where he went by the name @ComputeBucks. The SEC claimed that over 90% of the almost 13,000 tweets sent by Ferraro between 2019 and mid-2020 mentioned a specific stock or company. In each stock promotion scheme, Ferraro recommended a penny stock that he and/or Costello owned to Ferraro's Twitter followers and the public, the SEC complaint said. The complaint alleges that Ferraro knew his tweets would cause the stock price to increase. Ferraro did not disclose his promotional tweets that he and/or Costello had plans to sell their own shares of those stocks into the inflated market that Ferraro's tweets had helped generate. According to the SEC, Ferraro also failed to mention that Costello had promised to pay him a cut of his earnings from some of the stock promotion schemes. Canal Capital Corporation, Foothills Exploration, REM Sleep Holdings Company, as well as the combined entities of Hemstract and Riverdale Oil and Gas Corporation and Clancy Systems International Equities were among those marketed in the fraud.